teenager, data scientist DJ Patil failed most of his math classes, graduated high school near the bottom of his class with low SAT scores, and was arrested for reasons I'm sure have nothing to do with breaking math laws. Still, in 2015, at the age of 40, DJ became the first US chief data scientist, and so far he's the only one to have held that position, which has been vacant since 2017. DJ is also the one who coined the modern version of the term data scientist in 2008 together with Jeff Hammerbacher, and he's one of the very few people to have skateboarded in the White House. Hi, and welcome to a new series on my channel called Know Your Field, in which I share some of the notes I take while trying to understand the data science field better. I made a short video that explains why I'm making this series, and I'll link to it in the description box. In the description box, you'll also find timestamps for the segments of this video and links to the sources I used. Okay, so DJ Patil is the first topic in this series. And the reason I chose him is that when I Googled best data scientists and famous data scientists, DJ came in several of the searches. Granted, it's impossible to make an indisputable list of best data scientists, but since he is the first US chief data scientist, I thought he would be good to start with. I found several pictures of DJ online. Some are in the public domain, some are not. There are all sorts of pictures. DJ and his high school wrestling team, DJ skateboarding, DJ at the White House, and so on. Pictures like those make it easier to remember things about him, so I took web clippings of them and I'll link to them in the description box. When I researched DJ, I was interested in four main things I thought would help us understand the data science field better. The projects he worked on, the things he writes or talks about, a brief history that shows how he became a data scientist and some accomplishments throughout his career, and some stats to figure out if he's well known, if he's active on social media, and so on. There were also some random things I noticed while researching this project. Google search for DJ Patil shows two different birth years for him on the first page of the results, 1969 and 1974. Going by the school years listed in his bio, the 1974 birth year sounds like the correct date. For DJ's parents, Wikipedia lists only DJ's father, although his mother is alive and well and very much a big part of his life. The father, entrepreneur and computer geek Suhas Patil, has his own Wikipedia page and is sometimes referred to as the grandfather of Silicon Valley. The mother, Jayshree Patil, is an artist. She paints, writes music, and sings. She helps her husband in his work with younger entrepreneurs, and she's the reason why DJ was able to get a job working with data at eBay, and I'll tell the story shortly. Now let's start with projects. While a PhD student at the University of Maryland, DJ managed to get into the math department at night, take over the computers, and use them to download and analyze huge amounts of weather data, then leave early in the morning before anyone could find out he had been working all night. His work led to the creation of the Maryland Ensemble Kalman filter, which is now widely used in weather forecasting to quantify uncertainty in forecasts. For example, using a cone of uncertainty instead of a simple line to show the predicted path of a hurricane. A second project was, while he was a board member at Crisis Text Line, a text-based helpline for people who struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts. There, DJ learned of a project in which data scientists analyzed millions of texts received by Crisis Text Line and discovered that people who used certain keywords such as aspirin, Tylenol, or military in certain contexts were between 4 to 18 times more likely to be in the act of committing suicide. The discovery made it possible to reroute these people in the waiting line and get them connected faster to counselors who could help. A third project is one that DJ was involved with when he was a US Chief Data Scientist at the White House. The project was called the Police Data Initiative and was meant to make police data open to the public and create more understanding and more trust between police officers and the communities they worked in. Now, this is a sensitive subject, but it was even more so in 2015 because it was started in the wake of the 2014 Ferguson shooting, in which an African-American teenager was shot by a white police officer. There were many studies in the excessive use of force by police, and the findings were both surprising and non-surprising. Among the non-surprising findings were that most police officers are good people, and that only a small fraction of police officers are aggressive by nature. They are the so-called bad actors. Now, the surprises came when trying to figure out why good police officers sometimes use excessive force. And the studies came up with factors that nobody had noticed before. For example, if police officers responded to an act of domestic violence, especially one where a child was involved, or they responded to the scene of a suicide or multiple suicides, then these police officers were more likely to overreact afterwards, to use excessive force. And that's because these kind of scenes are particularly messy and particularly emotionally taxing, even for professionals who've had to deal with them before. So when these police officers were sent back in the field, back to work without giving a chance to decompress, they were more likely to have a short fuse and overreact even in less risky offenses like traffic stops and so on. Other projects that DJ worked on are focused on healthcare and on making data available in a responsible way and in a way that benefits everyone. When it comes to things DJ writes or talks about, I made a word cloud based on interviews he gave, but here are some ideas that stood out to me. The golden rule of data is to treat the data better than if it were your own data or your child's data. Data science is a team sport. Data Scientist, the job title that DJ and Jeff Hammerbecker created, has become fundamentally unhelpful. We should hire for skills, not for titles. Data is neither good nor bad. Like technology, data is neutral. It's up to us to use it for good causes. All data scientists must be trained in ethics and data security. A training program that doesn't include these two topics is not a cutting-edge program. Public service is like a relay race. It's important and meaningful for us to take a turn carrying the baton. The government has often been the spark of impactful innovations. Examples are the internet, self-driving cars, and so on. It's up to businesses, academia, and curious citizens to carry the flame. It's good for data to be open and easily accessible, and DJ takes about how open data helped his own career with the weather data he downloaded from the NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. He also gives the example of Elena Simon, who was just a teenager when she started using openly available DNA data for research into a rare form of liver cancer she herself had been diagnosed with when she was just 12. Another thing DJ talks about is that it's important to take good care of our physical and mental health. Here's a quote for him. He says, "Wear sunscreen. Yes, it's the advice that is given over and over, but there is truth in it. If you are stuck in bed with a cold or a bad back, the world won't stop and wait for you. In fact, many of the best leaders I know take religious care of their bodies. The race is long and your body has to last for it." Also, in an interview with Charles Duhigg, author of The Power of Habit, DJ was asked about his many jobs. He has at least 9 listed in his LinkedIn profile. Charles told DJ, "You were the first data scientist for President Obama. Before that, you were the chief data scientist at LinkedIn, you were at Skype, you were at PayPal, you were at eBay, you were even a faculty member at the University of Maryland. And so my question is, what do you keep doing wrong that you have to move so frequently from employer to employer?" DJ laughed and replied, "Yeah, it's like the job ranking matching algorithm gone wrong." Then he goes on to explain that it's a curve they've observed in LinkedIn about the number of jobs we hold when we first entered the workforce. He says that 30, 40 years ago, you were staying with one company for the first 10 years no matter what. then just a few years ago, you were staying there for just about 4 years. And nowadays, it's common to just stay for even less than a year. He said the number of years we stay with a company is on this incredible curve. But the interesting part is that the curve is just slightly different, a little bit steeper for West Coast, but it's also true for the East Coast, and it's true internationally. And DJ says, so I was just ahead of the curve. For DJ's history, I created a timeline that goes along the Google Trends. Just keep in mind that the Google Trends data is available only for 2004 and onward. Also, I didn't have the exact months and days for certain dates, so I just placed them in the middle of the year they happened. In this video, I'm just using a condensed timeline. I have a longer timeline that's available in a spreadsheet, and I'm linking to that spreadsheet in the description box. Okay, so DJ Patil was born on August 3rd in 1974. His father, Suhas Patil, was a professor at MIT at that time, so I'm assuming DJ's birthplace was Boston, Massachusetts. In 1975, when DJ was just 1 year old, his father decided to move to Salt Lake City because he wanted to start a business to design computers in a new way. Days before Christmas, airlines went on strike, and Suhas had to rent a U-Haul truck to move his family and their few belongings. The family drove cross-country ahead of the snowstorms and arrived safely in Salt Lake City on Christmas Day. In 1984, DJ's family moved again. DJ's father talked about his business a lot with VCs who came to ski in Salt Lake City, but he wanted to be around them and other entrepreneurs year-round, so that meant he had to go either to Austin, Texas, or to California, and he chose Silicon Valley, California. The family moved to Cupertino, and that's where DJ spent the rest of his childhood and where his parents settled down. In 1988, at the age of 12, DJ started classes at Monte Vista High School, the rival school of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Shortly after school start, DJ was arrested for reasons I haven't been able to easily find out. He was also kicked out of algebra class, and in fact he failed most of his math classes. He says that calling him a bad student would be putting it kindly. There were some areas DJ did well in, though. He was good at US history, he was good at sports, he was on the diving, swimming, and wrestling teams, and he was good at electronics. He tells his story about his physics teacher giving him a box of materials like pipettes and ring stands and so on, and no further instructions. And DJ's first reaction was, what the heck am I going to do with this? But he ended up using the materials to rewire his camera and the flash so he could take pictures of falling objects, like dropping water drops falling and hitting a surface. Before then, the only way to take such pictures was to be in a black room and have the flash go off at the exact moment that the water drop hit the surface. Because of his invention, now DJ was able to take such pictures much more easily. The electronics vocational classes also taught DJ how to etch his own chip designs and how to do drafting, so he was pretty handy. In 1992, at the age of 17, DJ graduated high school near the bottom of class due to hijinks and poor SAT scores. None of the colleges he had applied to accepted him, so DJ decided to follow his girlfriend to the De Anza Community College. There he was confused about which classes to take, so he had a winning strategy. He just signed up for the same classes his girlfriend did. The problem was that one of those classes was calculus, and during the first calculus lecture, none of the things the teacher wrote or talked about made any sense to him. Yet other students around him, including his girlfriend, were nodding their heads and seemed to understand what was being taught. And that was a life-changing moment for DJ, because he realized the reason he had failed math classes had nothing to do with the material being taught or with the teacher, and everything to do with his lack of effort. So he borrowed from the library several math books, and only days later he was caught up on the math material he had failed before. He continued to study hard. 5 weeks later, when his girlfriend asked why he was working on his math homework, DJ replied with the fateful words he will never forget. I don't know. It's not like I'm going to become a math major or something. Well, much to his surprise, he did become a math major and says that actually he thinks that his parents are still surprised by it. In 1993, DJ transferred to Earl Warren College, University of California, San Diego, where he studied for a BA in theoretical mathematics. He also studied psychology, theater, and oceanography, topics like the ecology of sardine population, geomorphology of sand dunes, and so on, and played in the school's volleyball team. In 1996, at the age of 22, DJ started his PhD in applied mathematics at the University of Maryland, College Park. His areas of research were applied nonlinear dynamics, chaos theory, and complexity. It was there that DJ started playing with the openly available data from NOAA. In 2004, at age 30, DJ joined the Department of Defense Threat Reduction Agency, and used computational social science and social network analysis tools to study and reduce the threat of terrorist attacks, weapons of mass destruction attacks, and human rights violations. DJ tells this story about his time at the Department of Defense. One day his superiors came to him and said, "Dr. Patil, we need you to go to Central Asia to learn more about biochemical weapons and their effects." DJ's reply was, I think you have the wrong doctor. But the superiors basically said, close enough. So DJ traveled to Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Georgia. And because of his work, that's when he truly started getting interested in health-related projects. He was also part of the team that built the Iraqi Virtual Science Library. In 2006, DJ left his position with the Department of Defense. Him and his wife, Devika Anand, decided it was time to solve their two-body problem, meaning that they each worked in a different city. DJ worked in Washington, D.C., and Devika worked in New York City. Devika was also pregnant with the couple's first child, so they moved back to Silicon Valley. DJ was 32 at that time and had about 10 years of experience working on data science projects, yet he couldn't find a job. He was rejected by big-name companies like Google and Yahoo. He was considered interesting, but not that interesting. DJ says he was lucky that his mom was at a dinner party and happened to see Rajiv Dutta, the president of Skype. The mother harassed Rajiv and asked him, "Talk to my son. Do me a favor and talk to this kid." Because of his mom, DJ soon got a job at eBay. At eBay, he worked on projects related to fraud, cybersecurity, and a platform for integrating all of eBay companies like eBay.com, PayPal.com, StubHub, Shopping.com, and so on. In 2008, at the age of 34, DJ started working at LinkedIn. He was part of the team that first implemented the People You Might Know feature at LinkedIn. That feature was soon copied by most other social networks. In a commencement address he gave 4 years later at the University of Maryland, DJ recalls some of the failures he experienced at LinkedIn. He says that if you looked at all the projects, code, design, and people's time that was invested in building the company, most people would be shocked by how much didn't work. Examples of things that didn't work were making religious or political group recommendations, or recommending jobs that the users felt overqualified or underqualified for. One workaround for this problem was to make it possible for other users to recommend jobs to their friends. That way, if the wrong job was recommended, people would raise their eyebrows at their friends, not at LinkedIn. Also in 2008, I don't have the exact date, DJ met for lunch with Jeff Hammerbacher, who was a lead data scientist at Facebook. LinkedIn and Facebook were competitors, and competition was intense in Silicon Valley, but they didn't stop employees from rival companies from meeting. Their belief was that more water in the harbor raises all boats, and they often talked about which systems and algorithms each company was using, which data and projects they were willing to open source, and so on. So on that day in 2008, DJ and Jeff met to discuss, among other things, what they should call themselves, because both Facebook and LinkedIn were getting ready to go public, and the HR departments were pressuring DJ and Jeff and their team to find a name for themselves. So DJ and Jeff wrote down a list of possible names. The last term on the list was Data Scientist. After a little bit of brainstorming, Jeff and DJ decided that that term was their best choice because research scientist felt too academic, statistician would tick off the economists and vice versa, and analyst felt too Wall Street. DJ offered to A/B test the title on LinkedIn's platform. The jobs listed as data scientist outperformed all other titles. DJ jokes that Jeff and him data scienced their way into calling themselves data scientists. 4 years later, Harvard Business Review called data scientist the sexiest job of the 21st century. In 2011, DJ published the ebook Building Data Science Teams. It was the first out of the 4 ebooks he's published so far. All 4 ebooks are very short and are sometimes referred to as white papers formatted as ebooks. Their Amazon ratings range from 3.9 stars to 4.3 stars. In 2012, at the age of 38, DJ had what he calls a less-known failure. A startup he invested in, Color Labs, shut down and its investors lost $41 million. DJ was one of those investors. Color Labs was an app in the same photo sharing field as Instagram. According to Wikipedia, just a year earlier, Google offered to buy Color Labs for $200 million before its first launch, but Color Labs turned down the deal, and it shut down in October 2012. In 2015, at age of 40, DJ became the first U.S. chief data scientist. A month earlier, when he had first been offered the position, DJ turned it down, but the people who had offered him the position decided to try something else. They invited DJ and his wife to have dinner at the White House with President Obama. DJ says that there's nothing more awkward than sitting between your wife and the president while they are enthusiastically deciding your future and ignoring you. The strategy worked. DJ was the first U.S. chief data scientist from 2015 to 2017. In 2017, DJ's assignment came to an end. The position has been vacant since. When DJ was asked what he was going to do once his role was over, his reply was, "I'm going home and I'm going to take a long nap." But his napping plans had to be put on hold because hours before his second term in the White House ended, President Obama appointed DJ to the National Infrastructure Advisory Council. Several months later, in August, DJ resigned from the council. He was one of the 8 out of a total of 32 members who resigned at the same time in reaction to the White House's response to a white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. DJ left Washington, D.C. and went back to California. It's worth mentioning that although DJ is not a fan of the current resident-in-chief of the White House, he believes that great work can be done under any administration. In an interview he gave in 2018, he says, "And just to be clear, I served also in the Bush administration, and there are many things in any administration that you may not agree with, but there's always an opportunity to serve the population and the whole country, as long as the team gives you the opportunity to take your skills, connect those skills with a mission, and provide you with the resources to actually allow that to happen." Back in California in 2017 September, DJ joined Devoted Health, where he is still working as head of technology. Devoted Health's mission is to provide a better healthcare plan through great technology, data, design, and most of all, love. That's all I have for DJ's history timeline. I'll finish this video with a few charts and tables. All the numbers I used for these charts and tables are the ones available during July and August 2019. That's when I researched DJ for this video. DJ has accounts on several social media or forum-like platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Quora, and Medium. He's most active on Twitter and has the most followers on LinkedIn. He posts mostly about data-related topics, but also has posts about non-work related things. For example, on Instagram, he posts about growing your own vegetables, about pickling food, or having fun fights with color powder. In his LinkedIn profile, DJ lists 9 job experiences and a total of 46 skills, which range from data science and computer science to entrepreneurship and public speaking. Some examples of his data science related skills are Python, R, MATLAB, MapReduce, algorithms, big data, data visualization, mathematical modeling, predictive analysis, statistics, and text mining. DJ has published a total of 4 books, 2 by himself, 2 with co-authors. All 4 books are short, between 29 and 41 pages long, and are available for free on Amazon. In ratings, they range from 3.9 to 4.3 stars out of a total of 5 stars. The highest ranking is his last book, Ethics and Data Science, while the best-selling, in other words, the most downloaded, is his first book, Building Data Science Teams. Some of his readers like that his books are short, others complain about that. One reader left a review for the second book, Data Jiu-Jitsu, that applies to all 4 of DJ's books. He says, "I like the book. I loved some of the examples, but it left me wanting more examples at the end. I hope the author is not applying some data jiu-jitsu on me." A Google search for DJ Patil, Data Scientist, shows about 229,000 result pages, and some of the keywords used for Google searches about DJ are bio, education, resume, GitHub, net worth, salary, speaker, quotes, White House, wife name, and YouTube. These stats and more, some extra events, and some interesting quotes are all available in a spreadsheet I put together to organize the data I found while researching DJ. The spreadsheet is still messy, but I'm making it available in case anyone is interested. My goal is to organize this data into a database, but I don't know how to do that, so for now I'm saving it all in spreadsheets. That's it for this video. I hope it was at least a little bit useful. If you have any feedback on the kind of topics you want me to cover or about this video, please leave them in the comments below. As I explained in the introduction video for this series, my goal with To Know Your Field is to make friends with players in the data science field. I want to learn more about their histories and their thought processes, and I'm not just talking about people, I'm talking about companies and tools too. They have interesting histories too, and this kind of information doesn't usually make it into textbooks or tutorials, but I think it's valuable because it makes us feel closer to the subjects we're studying. We understand our lessons better and we remember them better too. So, thank you for watching. Until next time, I wish you happy learning. Have a wonderful day.